Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Leo. So, Leo, as always, I am doing a reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you see are from this deck. So, Leo, I am very happy to say that I feel like you are finding your authentic self, and at the same time, you're exploring with who you are, who you want to become in every angle. And it's like you always want to improve. Actually, to be honest, this is exactly the message that is coming through the first card, which is the sun. And so I feel like, you always want to improve who you are by being playful with your personality, by being playful with your identity. But it's different than yesterday's message for Cancer. Although in the bottom row, there are two cards that appeared very significantly in the Cancer extended, and we're going to get to it because I feel like there's something about you, Leo, finding your essence that is so bright. It's so endless. It's such uh, an abundant, effervescent type of beingness, type of seeing yourself, feeling yourself, being yourself, that you're happy to explore who you are. It's like there is this desire, there is this hunger for exploring yourself, experimenting with every angle. Each ray of the sunlight here is talking about an aspect of yourself that perhaps, you didn't know this aspect about you until you try it, until you try this new way of dressing, this way of being, this way of speaking, especially because I feel like together with this experimentation, there's something about you trying things that are going to help to, if not improve, enhance things about yourself that you didn't know before, or things about yourself that feel so natural and that now you're just expanding on that. Sorry about the noise. So I feel like you are in a really good place, playing with yourself, playing with who you want to become. But the effect of this has a lot to do also about you finding your authentic voice in terms of speaking up when you need to speak up, and also listening when you need to listen, and sitting down to just, and it's interesting because the way that this listening part is coming through actually is listen to yourself. So the Four of Swords coming after the Sun has a very different vibe because this one is very active, it's very outgoing, it's very expressive in terms of, expressing, right? Expressing to the outside, right? It's like putting yourself out there. It's very doing, right? It's like it's based on doing, based on actions. The Four of Swords, however, is based on stillness and silence and this quiet mind, this quiet self, right? And so I feel like this is also part of the experimentation. The thing about you always willing, it's like it's not only that you're willing to experiment with yourself, it's like you're happy to do so, right? It's not just something that is exciting to you, but it's like it really teaches you or informs you or gives you this what is the word, experiential teaching, right? It's like this is you experimenting with self, but you have to go out there and be it, try it on. It's like this is very experiential. This is also very experiential, but in terms of, it's like this is the outward experience, this is the inward experience, if that makes sense, Leo. This is you experimenting with silence, experimenting with this quiet environment of yourself, of your inner world. And I feel like here there's also a lot that you can learn from yourself when you are in this mode, especially about listening, because here it's not that there is a lot of chatter, it's just that there is so much to see, so much information, so things to engage with, that you could be easily distracted, right? Or just, it's not distracted, it's not that you're distracted, you're happy to be distracted in a sense, but it's like there's a lot to engage with, therefore your attention can go in several different directions, right? Here there is only one place that you need to focus, that you need to be with self, right? Here it seems like there is like multiple different facets of yourself that you're exploring. Here it's like finding oneness, right? Here you find multiplicity, here you find oneness. And it's beautiful because here with the lovers, this is so gorgeous. The oneness is also here, but before you find this oneness, which is beautiful because I often see this as, oh, there are so many meanings, but now what this is bringing up is like the mirroring effect of you whenever you are in this silence environment, or it's like in this quiet mode, right? It's like instead of experimenting with yourself out there, it's like you're learning about who you are here, right? Here, right now. But it's not that this is not in the present. This is all in the present, right? It's just different ways of expressing yourself. The thing about the lovers is that it's showing me this hourglass. When time stops and you get to the center, it's like sand is not falling anymore because of gravity. It's like, it's okay, so that's the interesting thing. The moment that you combine how you happily express yourself in different ways in your authentic version, it's like you're discovering about authenticity, about who you are in unique ways, both outward but also inward, right? And this combination, in a sense, is what is bringing aspects of yourself in terms of how you see yourself, how you project yourself, how you perceive yourself in oneness, right? In the center. It feels very small, but it's also like this, how do I express this? This is a very objective motion forward, right? This is like taking action to go outside, right? You see this here. This, on the contrary, is the motion inward. However, this card is both. I don't know if I'll be able to explain this, but it's like it goes from the outside in, but the moment these two hearts touch in the center, which, with the message of that hourglass when time stops, right? And it's not that the sand is over, that it's past, it's that both sides are balanced. It's like there are equal amounts on both sides. And you could interpret this as human self and higher self, human consciousness and this divine consciousness, you as an individual and you as a participant of this, the universal mind, the universal cosmos, however you want to say this. But it's interesting. I was going to say is one and the same, but yesterday I watched this the watch party that Gaia offered with the new show that they are going to release about channeling, and Matthias Stefano was part of the Q&A, and he was talking about the difference between oneness and sameness, in a sense. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but being one and being the same, which it's different. It's we tend to think that it's the same thing, but it's not, right? So being one is like this entire organism that expresses itself in different, unique, authentic ways, right? It's almost like, this orchestra. For the sound to be so beautiful, there has to be different instruments. Otherwise, it will be just one instrument, one way of communicating. And I feel like because, Leo, you are finding your voice, your authentic voice, as another way, as another vehicle, right? It's just another way of expressing who you are. Because as I said, it's like it's so diverse, it's so multifaceted. But the moment that you explore this side of you as well, it's like you find oneness because you have explored so many different aspects of yourself, right? Both outwardly and inwardly. So finding this point in the center makes you feel one, right? But it's like in communion, in togetherness with yourself, with your higher self, with your higher mind, however you want to see it. It brings this feeling of compassion for self, but for all, right? It's like this complete integration with the feeling that you have for yourself, but also for another, right? Because there is this reflection, there is this mirroring. And this is talking about the mark that you're leaving. When you come to this point of realization that it's very fun to be in the world like this, like, not being ashamed to express who you are and, change from time to time, right? It's like, okay, so now we're going to play with this sun ray, and then we're going to play with this one, and then with this one. It's like you are the sun. It doesn't mean that you always have to shine the same way. Do you know? It's like it's understanding that you are one, but you are multifaceted. But you only have this realization the moment that you explore this inner world, right? It's like when you stop being so active and combine also this very silent, quiet, still environment inside of you. And that's how you find the multiplicity. It's almost like the not the core, it's like the source. Why was I having trouble with that word? Okay, so it's like the source of this multiplicity, because as I said, it's like the motion is coming from the outside in, but the moment that it touches, it's almost like it expresses back outside, right? It's like, again, it's like it bounces off, right? So it's almost like there's always this going outward and expressing yourself, and then needing to go back inside and connect to this oneness, to the feeling of togetherness and communion with higher self, with your divine self, with the universe. And then the moment when when this energy bounces off and wants to express again, because as I said in the beginning, you always want to improve, you always want to explore more sides of yourself. The moment that you get up and you leave, right, with the Four of Pentacles, the subtlety that you have experienced, right? It's like the things that you have experienced only in your mind, but actually spiritually or energetically are leaving an imprint there in that site. And I feel like it's impregnating it with this type of realization, this type of maybe oneness. It's having like this very compassionate energy to it, right? It's like feeling compassion for self. So self-compassion, it's pouring onto the earth, right? It's leaving this mark. You are leaving this imprint by expressing yourself or experimenting with yourself also in this more personal, more private experience, right? Because this feels like very active out in the world. So, perhaps there are others there with you. This, however, feels very personal, right? It's something that only you are experiencing. There are no witnesses, but still you are leaving a mark. And the moment that it's like all of that is happening at once, Leo. It's like and it's natural, right? Because it started with the sun. So it's like your authentic self. It's just playing and experimenting and being yourself. But the moment that you have this realization, because you understand this, it's like the fun part that is to explore who you are out there, but then to realize that you're only one, that you are one with everything. When you go and experiment with your inner world, it's like you enjoy both, right? There is joy and there is fun in both. And most of all, the realization that there exists love. Well, maybe you could associate this feeling of oneness with this, is this really heartfelt compassion for self, compassion for the other. And I feel like this, straight away, when you have that realization and you get up from your meditation or from your, inner thoughts, it's like it's time for you to speak up, because you're showing up as the King of Swords, speaking to somebody that is showing up here as the Queen of Wands. And these are the two cards that showed up in the extended for Cancer, and they were showing up there as a couple, right? I mean, even like a mature couple, as in like for Cancer, they were representing parents, right? Or the ones who raised Cancer. But I feel like it's different. It's actually very different, because in that extended, these external characters were giving feedback to Cancer. And I feel like in your case, Leo, because you're having such profound realizations of self and how you can express and experiment in different ways, right? Both, in this more mundane environment, but also in this very spiritual and inner perception, right? The way that you are now giving feedback or entering a conversation specifically, because I feel like this is physically what is going to happen in your life, in a sense, as soon as you have these realizations, is important that you have this conversation with this Queen of Wands. So I feel like because the Queen of Wands is coming through as, the fire element, and you're coming as the swords, it's like both of these elements, air and fire, they blend well. But if they are in a proportion that is too exaggerated, it can cause, this flame to inflame, in a sense, right? It's like this flame to go out of control. And, even the way that I'm seeing this practically would be as in like, becoming very angry with this person or this person with you, and just speaking louder and shouting perhaps, or entering a fight, or just ending up in a discussion, or in a disagreement, or even like a conflict of sorts. And I feel like this is not what is happening right now. It's like, in the eyes of the Queen of Wands, because they are the fire element here, maybe they do, it's like their memory is that, things with you, Leo, always end up in a discussion where, both of you are angry with each other, or, you end up not understanding yourself, which is reminding me that today Mercury goes direct in Capricorn. So, which is good news, right? So for the past 3 weeks, we have been, working on our communication skills, and, as a collective, right? Not just you, Leo, but I feel like because you happen to be the sign that is, today in this reading, when Mercury goes direct, then I feel like you're the one speaking up, because you have been experimenting with who you are. It's like you're not, as I said, you're not ashamed to be your authentic self, to express your full brightness. Oh, there's something else that was coming through here. I almost forgot, but it's like this brightness is it catches eyes, right? However, you know when to retreat. And it's not because you're being too much, because you're not afraid. It's actually like you couldn't care less, right? If you are being too much or too little, it's like you're just being you. But the thing about experimenting with different facets, it's because you want to vibrate in a level of authenticity that is whole. It's not just one aspect of yourself. And that's the reason why I feel like this realization that you are one, it's actually helping you to see that whichever aspect that you express yourself as out into the world is part of the whole, therefore is also whole. I hope that makes sense. But it's like it's not that you're afraid to be yourself, especially because this one is like in a sense confronting this one, but I don't feel like this is the case for a confrontation as perhaps this Queen of Wands might be expecting because of past conversations with you. This is just like the moment that you, because of all of your profound realizations, Leo, you know that there are things that need mending perhaps, especially, okay, so yes, mending. I was going to say perhaps that's not the case for you, but the Ten of Swords is here. So I feel like there are, things that might have ended up in, just a feeling that you couldn't really understand each other, right? It's like your ideas were not being understood by this one and vice versa, right? It's like the conversation needs to go both ways. And I feel like maybe this wasn't the case, right? It's like, but this is the time to end this. If this is the shared path, and if we're talking about, your partner or somebody that it's very important to you, Leo, and them and you to them, right? It's like it's not good to always end up in this inflamed discussion, right? It's like but you needed to have this realization, and I feel like this is because it's like you're always willing but also happy to improve, and including how you improve this relationship, this conversation, this way of expressing yourself and expressing your authentic voice, your authentic point of view, right? How do you voice that? How do you express that with words in a way that it's not going to cause another's reaction to explode or to, you know, um, remove themselves from this conversation because it's too hard for them, or maybe they're saying you're too much. It's like that's the thing. It's like you're not taking that to your heart, right? It's like as much as you're being compassionate with yourself, you are also with them. So it's like, I feel like, to be honest, Leo, you're finding a way to transcend the typical Ten of Swords which would be, this, let's just put like a grand distortion, or, uh, disagreement, right? It doesn't need to be that way. It can be light, it can be airy, it can be also very dynamic, it can be also very exciting. It's like the right proportion of you being you, authentically you, and them being also authentic. It's like it doesn't need to be inflamed. I hope I'm expressing that in the bigness that is showing up here, but it's like it seems like a very mundane thing, but to you it's also very profound and very spiritual and very significant, especially for how this relationship dynamic is going to work out in the future. It doesn't need to be, repeating the past. It doesn't need to always end up in fight, always end up in a conflict, always end up in anger, right? It can be this very inspiring and very beautiful exchange, right, between the two of you. So, Leo, I am going to pull more cards for you, as well as the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find the link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.